welcome back. I'm Penny at Salt and Wool Studio. Today we're doing tutorial 13 on shadows, and we're going to be doing the pattern on Eli's stage. So follow along with me and let's get started. So the first thing that we need to decide is where our light is coming from in this rug, our source of light. So I've decided that my sun is going to be above and to our right. So that means our shadows are going to be below and to our left. So you're not going to see the sun in this rug, and I decided that I'm going to go with an overcast kind of day, but it's the kind of day where there's still light and there will still be shadows, but you will not see an actual sun in the sky. So let's walk through the main areas of this rug where we're going to be doing some shadowing. Now the first place I've decided to put my shadows was on this big stage, and what I've done is I have two colors of rust, one that's a little bright and one that's a little darker tone, and you can slightly see a change in the color down this edge here and across the bottom, up this side, and underneath the roof line. And on this side of the stage I did a patch here down this side. And then I determined on this little part, I went up here and around like this. So on the left sides of the walls and under the building where the stilts are, this would be a shadow area here as well. Under your roof lines, always a shadow. And along the bottom edge of any doors and windows. Now normally I would put a shadow here, but with this rug I never did that. So there's a good reason why I never shadowed underneath my windows, and that's because, for starters, there's not a lot of space. This is a small area on the rug, so trying to fit in my shadow there with the shadow against where my corner is to and across the bottom, there's not much space there to hook anything other than shadows. So I just left it out. The second thing is you don't want to overcomplicate your rug. You don't need a lot of shadowing to get depth in your rug. So if you just do some shadowing on the corners of your building and underneath that roof, along with what's underneath the wharf and the stage head, you are going to be well on your way to having great depth in this rug pattern. So there are lots of shadowing opportunities in this rug. We could be shadowing the mountains, and we could be shadowing the trees, and we could even shadow the seaweed on the beach that I'm going to be hooking in. But really, it's not necessary. Like, I want my shadows on the big stage and the wharf and the stage head. And one important thing to know about shadows when you're shadowing is, just let me get you some wool and I'll show you. So I don't have many good examples here, but for example, so I shadowed my big stage with a rust color. And so I have two balls here of wool. Moving them around like this, like they look the same color, but they're not. This is a bright rusty color. This is a dull rusty color. They are different. I don't know if you can see it there now. So this is my stage, this is my shadow. But, so this is a one tone darker. You do not have to shadow like this. And you also do not need to be using black for your shadows. You can shadow anything in a different color. For example, if it's bright red, you can use like a wineberry or a brandy wine color, burgundies, stuff like that. If it is a blackish charcoal color, use a brown gray to do your shadow. If you're shadowing the seaweed, for example, if I do shadow my seaweed, I would hook my seaweed in a yellow goldy color, and I would shadow probably in this rusty orange. Like, you don't have to shadow the same color and the same color scale as what you are shadowing. The object that you're shadowing is what I'm trying to say. But in the meantime, don't use black for your shadow. Some people do. I personally That's not my hooking style. I wouldn't never use black for my shadow. And I don't find it does anything for your shadow. Color does. So yeah, so let's continue on and let's hook that stage now. So the first color I am going to use is this navy color, and I'm using this. This is going to be the deepest color in my water shadowing, and I'm going to be using this underneath my stage. So the first thing I've got done here is I put a navy band underneath every wharf board right here, right up in, and it's hooked like a U shape. See that? Right up along. And then over here where the beams go across, I just filled it in with a navy color completely. So this is the first step to hooking the shadow underneath the wharf. So the next step now will be we have to do a water line underneath our wharf, and I'll show you what I mean here. So let's start over here, and we're going to go straight across. So we're going to hook right here, and it's almost going to be like a square, but we're not hooking an actual square. I'm going to go in right here this time. We're going to keep this line consistent right across like this. There we go. So it's not quite a square. You see that? Like some of the members underneath the wharf are deeper, some are shallower, and that's going to be reflected when I hook my waves, right? Because not everything is level in the ocean, of course. Oh, right here. So this one, I just put in a tiny touch of the sky color because I wanted to see what the sky would be like. That's another thing you can do. In your ocean, you can do a little bit of shadowing with your sky colors. So I just tapped that in there because I just wanted to see what it would look like. And I may put in a little tiny bit more into my ocean colors. And the last piece is going to go across right here. There we go. So that's my shadowing on this wharf done. Now the other place you should do shadowing if you wanted to is on that little stage head. You don't have to hook a door like I've done there. You can actually just pretend there's no door there and hook the shadow, hook the door shadow. And in that circumstance there, I would hook my darkest palette color, which would be either charcoal or black, and just fill it in solid and pretend like it's something that you're going to walk into. And that would be pretty as well. And yeah. So now that we have the shadow underneath the wharf put in, you can see there's a dark band here of our regular color that brings down the legs of the wharf. And then the navy goes up against that in that U shape. Then we're going to hook our waterline shadow right across, like so. And you can, if you wanted to, do a small shadow by every vertical post. I'm not going to do that. There's not enough room in between this. If this was a bigger pattern with a big stage and there were big openings and I had lots of space to work with when I'm hooking, then I would probably do a little shading on the shadowing. Like I would probably bring it out more and be a little bit more creative. But we are just doing this little stage pattern, and this is perfect for that. So now the last place I want to show you is over here on the on the wharf. So another place where you should shadow, and I've done it already with the dark gray, right here, is underneath this wharf roof. You should have a darker line, and the other place would be slightly darker. It's on the side of it, right here, like so. So your light source, right, so your light source is going to be coming from up above and to the right. So that shadow's to the left. So this would be where it's catching the shadow. And right here, I've hooked a little bit of a darker gray. You can see on my wharf side. That's just to give it that sense that there's some depth there as well. And yeah, so the next thing we want to do shadows are on the ocean. So our ocean is going to be hooked in a softer palette. And we're going to have slightly darker under the wharf, of course, like I did the navy. And then it's a bit darker going closer to the shore. So I'm going to use a darker color up against the shore this time in this rug and underneath there. And then right here in the belly of the pattern, I'm going to hook this lighter this time. And then as we go out to sea, it's going to be darker again. So our last place to look at our shadows are going to be in our grass. And our grass, we're going to hook like clumps of grass. And it's going to be darker at the bottom of each mound of grass and lighter towards the tips of the grass. So that's how I would do the grass. And I'm also going to shadow these rocks a little. And I'm just going to do that with the same kind of style that we hooked our cliffs in the cliff tutorial, hooking cliff rock. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fill in around each one with a little bit of a darker gray. And then we're going to continue on. So I'm going to use a light gray and a dark gray. So yeah, like these two colors here. So the first thing I would do in here is take the dark and I would fill in around the sides of my rock that are right here. And then I would fill in the rest with the light gray. So as I was saying earlier, when you're doing your shadows, don't use black. And a good example of shadow colors is I have this blue here. So I would use this as one color. And then if I wanted a shadow color, a slate blue would work against that. You could hook a bright red and mirror that with a burgundy or a wineberry color, or a charcoal, and you can use a gray brown as your shadow color. So you can really alternate your colors and play with it a bit. And you don't have to go like a shade or two darker. You can always go different, like this is 2 different shades, right? Like 2 different shades, but they work really well for a shadow. So one important thing I should mention is with the wharf is grays and browns. Now, if this was a log or something that was grays and browns, I would say do your shadow in like a deeper gray or brown or whatever. Like say if my log was like this, well, I'd say shadow dark brown or shadow gray, something like that. But because the shadow is in the water and it's also like a kind of like a reflective light, so we have to use the deepest value that is going to be in the water and not a value that is going to pair with the wharf. So that makes sense to you? I hope so. So if you only focus on like doing some shadows on your stage and some shadows on your wharf, that's really all you need in this rug to really transform it. Like it's really going to look really nice. And yeah, like you don't need to do a whole lot. It's just a little technique that makes a big difference. And if you're hooking this pattern with me, try the shadows. Like it really, really, really makes a big difference to your rug, and it will make it beautiful. So just remember, shadows are not about adding darkness. They're about adding depth to your rug. And when they're placed correctly, they'll tell the person that is looking at the rug, the viewer, where the light is coming from. Like, where is it sunny to in this picture? Is there any sun? No, like, you're not going to see it. The sun is overhead. But with my shadows down on this wharf, you're going to know that the sun is above. Okay, one more important thing that I want to mention is about placement of your sun in shadows. So if your sun was in the middle of your rug, like so, up in the sky, you're going to do all your shadows straight downward. If your sun was over here, you are going to shadow downward and to your right. But you are not going to shadow to this corner. You are going to shadow this way, like so. If your sun is here, you are going to shadow this way. You want your shadows to come towards the middle center of your rug. And so this is what gets your viewer's eye right here. The last thing I wanted to say is when you're hooking your shadows, do them gradually. Don't try and do it all at once when you're hooking a shadow. And really trust your eye. Like, trust what you're doing and just take your time. Hook, pick the most important elements in your rug and focus on hooking a shadow on those first, and do them a little bit at a time. Just take your time with it. Hook a little bit of a shadow, move on to something else in your rug. Hook a bit of that, and then come back and revisit your shadow again and see, oh, I think that's enough. So, and your eye will tell you. When you're hooking shadows after a while, you'll really get the hang of it, and just trust your eye. Yeah, that's it. As always, thank you so much for watching and following along with me. Please like and share, help me grow my page. If you haven't done so already, I have created a new Facebook group called the Traveling Sheep Project, and it is a fun little project to connect rug hookers around the entire world. Check it out, and yeah, follow along, and let's have some fun. Okay, bye for now. Just one last thing that I need to mention. I haven't been online so much as I would like to be this past week, and I'm very sorry for that. But family life happens, and we've had a couple things going on this week, and we've also are doing some major renos in our downstairs. And so there's been a lot of banging and hammering and sawing. So I haven't been able to record down here. So I will be doing it as much as I can when I can. And hopefully things will resume per normal very soon.